Good morning, everybody. It's Steve Brown from Mirae Asset Securities, Mirae Asset Live. Joining us this morning, we have Mr. Alex Pham, who's a Board of Director member for DXS, soon to be listed real estate company offering real estate services, and part of the DXG company, which is market cap around about $500 million US, has been going since 2003, listed on the Jose successfully in 2009. Alex, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Mate, you've had a very exciting last couple of months. You've had your information memorandum out since February. You've successfully had a book build. You've successfully placed a swag of stock to a whole series of institutional investors and domestic retail Vietnamese keen to get onto the DXS story. So, and also I'll just give a bit of a chance for a bit of a background bio on yourself as well, because you're a bit of a standout exhibit, in my opinion, of the future leaders of Vietnam. And you've spent several years in Australia doing your PhD, then working for Cushman and Wakefield, Knight Frank, where you a deputy director role, then a director at Colliers International in Australia. So you're ideally suited to be a member of the board of a listed company in Vietnam, and you have been with DXS as that titled role since January 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so first thing, tell us about why you wanted to get into the real estate area.
Oh, thank you very much. So first of all, yeah, I'm sitting on the board of the DXS. I also run a mortgage broking company called FINA. We are the very first mortgage broking company in Vietnam. Real estate, yes. So when I started my career after I graduated from university, I had my first stint working for a financial institution called Morningstar, based out of Thailand. And I was given a portfolio of real estate companies in Australia, to be honest. And that's how I got to understand more of the real estate sector. And then I moved to CBRE, working as a research analyst, and then through several careers. But my careers for the past 20 years has focused primarily on real estate. And I guess the crossroad between real estate, finance, and investments for the past 20 years.
Okay then. Now, when you came onto the board of DXS, it had recently been formally established a couple of years before your joining in 2018. But from my understanding, reading your materials, it's been an integral part of DXG since about 2003 in its inception, specializing in a broad range of real estate related services for DXG group companies. So if you can now just talk us through the primary client types that you've got, the sectors that you've got, such as for real estate services, some of the listed companies that DXS services?
Yeah, so let me just bring you back a little bit before, before I came back to Vietnam. I had the opportunity to meet the management of DXS in Australia. And I realized that this is an exciting journey that is going to happen, especially when they share with me the vision to have a company that is going to be one of the biggest real estate conglomerates in Asia. And that sort of struck my attention as well. And when I get to meet the management, I get to understand the business model, I realize that there is a lot of potential for DXS. And it is not just real estate, but there are a lot of additional cross services that DXS is involved in as well, particularly industrial development, technology, financial services. So at the end of the day, they're not just building a real estate company, but they're building a ecosystem that surrounds real estate as a product, but we want to focus on the home buyers of Vietnam, and we want to focus on servicing their needs. And as you know, the real estate market in Vietnam has been growing very strongly, but the potential is still tremendous going forward. So DXS, we primarily focus on the primary brokerage market in Vietnam. We don't really service any particular clients that is so large in the portfolio. So to be honest, we've got a portfolio of over 200 projects that we distribute at every single time. And we have a relationship with 999 developers in Vietnam. So the marquee developers such as Novaland, FLC, Vingroup, and obviously the DXG also makes up a large proportion of properties that we distribute as well.
Okay, so the clients that you've got are very diverse. They're pretty well in every province. You've got almost 1,000 relationships that you've got. As far as your staff goes, the headcount of the staff as well has been quite spectacular. Internally, your notes show around about 850 staff in 2015. Now it's approaching 4,500, exclusively distributing and working for DXS projects. You've got also then affiliated transaction floors. You've got third-party agents as well, acting on commission basis. And from what we can see, you've got an omni-channel strategy as well. Can you talk me through that?
Yeah, so we're actually hitting around 5,000 staff members now, primarily the salesperson. So we do have a multi-channel strategy because we realize that that's the only way for us to scale up without incurring too much additional costs. So for the past few years, we've enjoy the journey on writing the technology strategies and using technology to engage more of our clients to the whole purchasing process, improve the experience of our clients. We have also used technologies to improve the efficiencies of our sales agents and also to improve the efficiency of the sales process, especially for real estate projects in Vietnam. So in the past, projects in Vietnam were being sold in a very traditional way. You've got a sales gallery, you invite everyone to come in, have a few drinks, and you try to call sales. But now, because of the competitive, the competitions in the market is quite getting a lot tougher. So we have to gather multiple channels, not just the offline functions, but also the online channels as well. So we do our marketing across multiple channels, you name it, Facebook, YouTube. We've got our own YouTube channels, Instagram, TikTok. And also it's because our clients, our customers are getting onto those channels. So that's how we can reach them. And a lot of our customers are just getting younger and younger. They're more dynamic, they're more technology savvy. So being a service provider, we have to be where our clients are, and we have to meet their demand.
And you are also quite renowned for looking after your staff, the sales agents, the commissions. I've noted reading your materials. The commissions for your agents, DXS is usually paid a larger commission on units sold, so your staff retention is quite good in this style of sector. It is sometimes quite a high turnover industry. Where you get the financial services come in for mortgage broking, insurance broking, expanding into a bit of wealth management, including real estate investing for your clients, that's more of a fee-based business too, isn't it?
That is correct.
They can gain a bit of an annuity there. Can you explain a little bit about how you see the integration of the fee-based business into what you're doing moving forward?
Yeah. So obviously the rationale for having those fee-based businesses, number one, we're trying to diversify our income streams, but more importantly is to increase the amount of touch bases with our clients, because it is very important. As you know, if you work in real estate, if you work in technology, you know that it is very important for us to continuously service the needs of our clients, so they would never leave us, or if they ever come back and buy a primary property again, then we are always on their front mind. And that explains why, you know, once you finish purchasing a new property, then you will have additional needs. For example, you need a loan, then we're there to help them to get a loan. If they need insurance for their properties, then we can provide insurance. Or if they want to reinvest into alternative investment sources, then we have a platform for them to do that as well. And then if they want to resell the property later on, then we have a resale platform that help to sell secondary properties as well. So we're trying to complete that whole ecosystem. Number one is to service all the needs of our clients, but number two is to provide that high level of customer services for the clients.
Okay. Now, the real estate market, like most of the economies, suffered a bit of a setback last year with COVID-19. How has 2021 year-to-date been as far as the supply recovery and upswing is looking for new projects coming online? Have you seen more developments being announced and being made available for your staff to sell?
Definitely 2020 was a very bad year for us and for the whole market, and no one wants to remember that. But however, it is important to understand that there is no single property market in Vietnam. So when we talk about the property markets in Vietnam, it's in plural. Every single market would have different drivers. So for the past few years, if we talk about the market in Ho Chi Minh City, it wasn't because of COVID. It was mainly because of political issues, I would say, that have prevented a lot of new projects coming online. So for the past 3 years, I would say there was very, very tight supply in Ho Chi Minh City. However, looking forward, we are seeing positive changes on the ground. So a few projects are now starting to come back online. If you look at Ba Son, for example, with Masterize is doing very well there. We've got new projects coming on, and we are on the panel as well to sell for Masterize. And then District 2, there are the Capella, which is coming back online as well. Then we have Masterize in Thao Dien as another project. So yes, they are coming back online, and we are going to see more projects being reinitiated this year in Ho Chi Minh City. Hanoi is a different story. Hanoi wasn't impacted by COVID at all. 2020 was actually our best year in the northern branch. So Dat Xanh miền Bắc, despite the COVID situation in Hanoi, we actually increased our sales in the north by 18%. So we outperformed in the north. Hanoi, the good news in Hanoi is for the past few years there has been a very large amount of infrastructure investment in Hanoi, and prices in Hanoi compared to Ho Chi Minh is a lot more affordable. And last year we saw a wave of investments from the south coming back to Hanoi, which increased the demand for properties in Hanoi and the surrounding area as well, which is very interesting observation, because for the previous years Hanoian investors have been going out of Hanoi, but when time's tough, northern people tends to come back to their home, markets, and that's what we saw last year as well. Very strong market for us in the north, and not just in Hanoi, but the fringe markets as well. So such as Thanh Hóa is going berserk last year for us, and in Quảng Ninh, in Vân Đồn, all going very well despite COVID. But then we still have the underperformers, Da Nang, for example, or Nha Trang, which have been quite heavily impacted by COVID, because a lot of them are subjected to tourists' arrivals, so the market has been quite quiet there.
A little bit closer to Ho Chi Minh City, Novaland's got the Phan Thiet mega project going on down there. You're one of their approved sales companies. Do you see a lot of interest in the second home investment property purchases using mortgages for those style of projects that are outside of the CBD?
Yeah. Definitely last year was a very good year for Novaland, and congratulations on them, and we're very glad to be on their panel as well. So they did very well in Phan Thiet, in other projects as well, and we see that the markets has seen very strong demand, but not from the same buyers that we saw in the past. So for the past 12 months, the leisure and second home markets has seen a lot of investors and buyers coming from the south instead of the north, like before. And in terms of mortgages, because of a lot of the projects for second home, just because they don't have the Red Book title, a lot of them are leaseholds, so it's quite difficult for the banks to provide mortgages on those properties. However, we still have alternative solutions. So instead of using that assets as a collateral, a lot of our clients actually use the existing homes as collaterals to purchase the new properties, the second home properties, and they still get the same interest rates, they still get the same level of LTV, and actually I'm seeing a lot more of this being used as well. So the strategy of using your first home as a mortgage to purchase your second home, which is gaining a lot of popularity right now. And in some projects, you can actually leverage up to 100% of the new property by using your second home as a backup.
And do you see any M&A activity once you're listed? Your capabilities will be far more enhanced for doing a bit of roll-up and consolidation of some of the good family-owned businesses, private unlisted companies out there. Do you envisage doing that, or do you think you won't really have to focus on that too much because your brand is highly regarded already? You know, you're up there with Savills, CBRE as one of the most respected real estate brands in Vietnam. Your thoughts on potential for M&A?
Thank you for the compliment. Even though we are the #1 broker in the primary market, but we have to realize where our strength is. So the opportunities for M&A is definitely on the table. We are in a very good position right now in terms of the capital that we receive from the IPO, and as we explained in our strategies, pre-IPO was one of the key strategies for us. Going forward, using the fund is for M&A activities, especially to get into markets where we haven't got a strong footprint. For example, in the secondary markets, in order to very quickly scale up, the good way for us to find very good companies at a very good value that we can acquire and incorporate into our ecosystem. Additionally, other areas such as financial services, where we are also a very newcomer. So we don't want to become a bank, but we want to provide alternative financing solutions to our clients.
If I can interject there, you've studied and lived in Australia for quite some time. You've seen the likes of Aussie John Simons and all of those Aussie home loans, mortgage choice. You could easily start to vend in multiple bank lenders as your partners. So I think you'll be in a very strong position to contemplate alliances and referral activities with a lot of different mortgage providers moving forward, particularly if the legal procedures make it able to be done,
Yeah.
you know, rebates, introductions and so on to banks. And already I've noted a lot of the show gallery openings, display home events. There are roll-up banners showing a lot of the local banks with desks there with their staff offering up mortgage packages.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that revenue stream will be able to come online in a very sophisticated, swift manner moving forward. The government will probably be very open for that as well. Where do you see the local property market now going in, if we can just talk about the local scene? You touched on the land use rights audit that went on in Ho Chi Minh City, and then we've had a good series of announcements. We've had Mirae commence construction on Ba Son, the largest JW Marriott development there in the world, I believe. You know, so that thousands of apartments there for sale.
That's definitely, yeah.
And then in Tu Tiem, over the river, there's just this month news that they're going to be auctioning off 3 land plots, about 2.5 hectares as well. So the restart of everything seems to be progressing quite well from what I can see, with the cranes going up everywhere.
Yeah.
You're the professional though, so your thoughts on Ho Chi Minh City?
Yeah. So yeah, before I comment on that, let me just get back to the mortgage market a little bit. So as you know, coming back from Australia, I realized that so the mortgage broking business in Vietnam is another blue ocean to be in, and legally and regulations, they all allow for that to be done as you know, right now. So it is a very good time for us, and we've got the ecosystem of DXS that allows us to penetrate into that market. And so far, we launched our service sort of the end of last year, and now we're finding ourselves doing 100 to 300 loans per month. Which is very good news, and we haven't really advertised the services at all. We've been just focusing on servicing our internal customers. However, the reception is quite well. The business model is proven overseas, so in Australia, in the USA, in Europe, Singapore, Hong Kong, all the developed markets, around 60% of loans are originated through one of these what we call originators. And that's the opportunity that we want to get into as well. There are a lot of pain points that we can help our customers. So before we you know, started our mortgage broking business, we did a survey with our customers. We asked them what are the most important points in your purchasing process, right? And they list, you know, 3 most important points. So number 1 is you know, getting the legal rights of the property. So legality of the property is number 1 issue. Second one is getting a mortgage, and third one is dealing with the right developer. Right, those are the 3 key points. And then we ask them, what are your biggest pain points? What is the you know, what is important one, what is considered least how to say least enjoyable in the journey. And everyone listed getting a mortgage is the least enjoyable activity, you know. And then we thought, you know, look, we can help that. We can help their experience a little bit better. How about if we give them more choices instead of just going to one bank and being stuck with one product? How about we can have a marketplace where you can compare multiple loan options, and you have multiple banks bidding for you, servicing you. That's number one. Number two is, how about we can have a community or a network of financial advisors who are independent from the banks. And if they're independent, then they will work on your best interests. They don't want to try to sell one particular bank, but then they're just gonna choose and select the best loans for you, right? And last but not least, convenience. How about if we're gonna collect all of your documents online and then give it to the bank and get the pre-approval before you go and see the property, then you have a peace of mind that you are going to get the loan, and then you can be more confident bidding for that property. And then when the property is signed, the contract is signed, and you just go to the bank to do the paperwork. We reduce about 60 different steps that the customers need to go and connect with the banks directly, so we do it all online. So that with the mortgage markets, but then coming back to the property market, definitely we are seeing this year there's recovery, especially in the Ho Chi Minh markets. If you look at prices compared to 3 years ago, prices in Ho Chi Minh has gone up by almost 3 times, almost in some areas. So one of the example is in District 2, where we had our projects as well. About 2 years ago, we were selling for 30 million per square meter, 25-30 million per square meter. Right now, the market are transacting at 60 million or 65 million per square meter, and not even questioning the prices of Bason, for example. Everyone is thinking it is expensive, but from myself, coming back from overseas, for projects of that location, for me, it's a no-brainer for me, and especially for a lot of the buyers who've been searching around for so long and couldn't find anything. Then it is a great opportunity for them, and to team the same story as well. Yeah.
And to just wrap things up with, the related company DXG, profit after tax is looking at around about 70 million US equivalent this year. DXS is looking at around about 65 million profit after tax, minus minority interest. Could you just expand on how you see the profitability coming to fruition there? You're quietly confident you'll be 60 million, 65 million plus profit after tax for DXS?
Yeah, definitely. We are. I mean, like, when we did our financial modeling, we do a bottom-up approach. So we get all our subsidiaries to submit on the projects that they have signed, the projects that they're working on, and the projects that they are prospecting. And a lot of the projects that we're selling this year that we put into the forecasts is actually the projects that we had started last year, but because of the because of COVID and the restrictions, a lot of them were brought were delayed to this year. So in terms of certainty, around 70% of those projects that we're working on this year were already signed and started on it already. So we're very confident that we're going to achieve the results.
Great. Revenue, if we cast our minds back pre-COVID, 2017, around about 1,700 VND billion dong, double that roughly almost in 2020. And the net debt of the company, for my mind, it's manageable. You've had a bit of a historic hiccup, like most companies, last year with the COVID-19. But the net revenue growth, the gross profit margin in particular at over 70% is quite outstanding. So I think moving forward, the revenue and EBIT breakdowns all look quite positive for your business moving forward. So do you envisage any major competitive activity to what you're doing I see that there's a couple of other listed companies around, but I think it's really just you, and there is another one, CRE, but it doesn't do what the rest of your group does.
Yeah.
You know, and then the other foreign players like Savills and CBRE definitely don't do what DXG does. You know, so I think you're quite in a sweet spot, and if you get your mortgage choices activities firing, you'll be on all cylinders. So thank you very much, Alex, for popping in today and being with Mirae Asset Live. And after your half yearly, we'd love to have you back and just have a chat and see how everything's progressing with your business. And I hope you'll be able to give us some very exciting updates, potentially maybe some news on M&A, who knows?
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate Mirae Assets and congratulating on all the success that you have. And I'll be back. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
Good.
you very much.
Steve Brown from Mirae Asset Securities, Mirae Asset Live. Thank you.
Thank you.